2021 is here. There's a ton of great stuff to look forward to. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on Game Ranks, the top 10 new games to play in the first half of 2021. Quick disclaimer, we are talking about the first half of 2021, so that means from January to June 2021. Games like God of War, Halo Infinite, Resident Evil Village, Dying Light 2, and Starfield do not count. We will probably not be seeing any of those games until the second half of 2021. Keep that in mind, and without further ado, starting off with Outriders. This was a game that we actually expected a while back. It was something that was announced quite a while ago. They started developing it back in 2015. It comes to us from People Can Fly, who brought us titles like Gears of War Judgment, Bulletstorm, and Painkiller. In a lot of ways, it looks kind of similar to Gears of War. However, there's a significantly large amount of role-playing elements incorporated, and it's obviously a completely different aesthetic/world in which you as a human are granted superpowers as a result of this energy storm going on this planet Enoch, which humanity is currently trying to colonize. It's got an interesting look to it, and I kind of think it might play out like a Gears of War meets Destiny situation, and I'm pretty darn interested to see exactly how that plays out. Outriders is landing on PC, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, and Xbox Series X April 1st. Moving on to number 9, it's Bravely Default 2, which is a JRPG from Square that I'm personally very excited about. On account, Bravely Second was kind of underwhelming, and this fixes most of the problems that I had with it. At least seems to. Bravely Second was a continuation of Bravely Default's story, and in truth felt kinda a little bit too much like an expansion pack to me and a lot of other people. And knowing they are kind of doing the Final Fantasy thing and moving on to an entirely new world, an entirely new cast, an entirely new story, I'm quite excited for that. And from what I've played of the 5-hour demo they published in December, Bravely Default 2 looks like a big return to form. Honestly, there just aren't enough traditional JRPGs that take advantage of new hardware, and Bravely Default was that, even on the Nintendo DS, but seeing it on the Switch I think is really going to be great, and that they decided, hey, we gotta sort of do a fresh start with this. I'm excited for it. It seems to encapsulate the spirit of what Bravely Default was about more so than Bravely Second did, and I'm excited for further entries in it. Bravely Default 2 is coming to the Nintendo Switch on February 26th. At number 8 is Monster Hunter Rise, which brings to us the sort of formula that we saw in Monster Hunter World, combined with a more verticality-oriented level design philosophy. Now, that doesn't mean they're throwing out the zoneless approach that they used for Monster Hunter World. That's still there, but they've retailored a lot of what's going on in this game to be good for a verticality-oriented set of mechanics. I think this is a really interesting decision, and I think could result in something incredibly positive. The game was developed alongside Monster Hunter World, with the two teams working on these two games, exchanging information and trying to keep everything in sync. So a lot of the design decisions that were present in World are probably going to be present in Rise. And I think that's a really good thing, because World really did a great job of sort of crystallizing what Monster Hunter is about and adding the verticality that Rise is intending. For all intents and purposes, might be a really big, very cool addition that might influence future Monster Hunter games for who knows how long. Monster Hunter Rise is a Nintendo Switch exclusive, and it's coming on March 26th. At number 7 is Returnal. This is a third-person science fiction psychological horror shooter, which was part of the PlayStation 5 announcement presentation. And not only did it show off a lot of the graphical prowess of the PS5, but it really shows promise as this kind of cosmic horror-oriented, is it in your head, is it not, Groundhog Day, End of Tomorrow type, time loop, dying, trying to escape type story/game. It's of course a shooter, so you know what kind of dynamics you're getting there. It does look interesting in that the suit that you have, which adapts over time, offers different weapons, as the planet, which also adapts over time, ends up having to keep you on your feet. Now, apparently haptic feedback is going to play a big role in this game, and I'm really interested in finding out exactly what that means. But until then, I think looking at the visuals and type of game it is and the whole cosmic horror thing, I'm just really excited for it. I think it could be really special. It lands on the PlayStation 5 on March 19th. At number 6 is The Medium, a really innovative looking game in which you control somebody who is a medium between the regular world and spirit world, and you're generally always controlling her in both worlds at once. And I think that what we've seen of that, given how these two worlds are connected and the things you can change and cause to happen in one world by doing something in the other, offers a lot of really innovative gameplay possibilities. And they've done a lot of touting this dynamic, so it kind of has to work out really well for the promise of the game to be fulfilled, but I'm sold on it. I'm excited to see if it pans out. Like I said, pretty much everything I've seen looks good. It comes to us with a soundtrack from Akira Yamamoto from Silent Hill, and really does seem to take a lot of inspiration from the sort of way Silent Hill works. In order to do the two worlds, they kind of did the fixed position cameras that we saw back in the original Silent Hill. But in a lot of cases, this game looks maybe even a bit more scary. I think there's a lot of potential, and I really hope it lives up to it, because it'd be great to see this Xbox/PC exclusive really work out. The Medium is hitting on January 28th. At number 5 is Destruction All-Stars, a game that was originally going to be a launch title for the PS5, and I think is kind of possibly, in terms of multiplayer, a real killer app for the PlayStation 5. It's a vehicular combat game which kind of combines a sort of roller derby type thing going on with, like I said, vehicular destruction, where the point is obviously destroying other players' cars. Now, you get various different weapons and means of destroying those cars depending on what you're playing as, and even when your car is destroyed, you're still wandering around the arena, pretty vulnerable, but also with the ability to change things going on in the battle with special powers, and in some cases, the ability to take others' cars. Honestly, this just looks like a hugely fun party game. I hope it lives up to the hype, because I will waste so much time on it. Destruction All-Stars is landing on PS5 sometime in February. At number 4 is Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. Now, this again was a big part of the PlayStation presentation and showed us a lot of amazing technologies on top of, being a new Ratchet & Clank game, which I'm going to just say anybody who likes platform games or shooters or the sort of intersection of the two, or just is a fan of Insomniac games, that's great. However, like I said, some of the really cool stuff I think that is worth paying a lot of attention to is like the teleportation dynamics we saw in the trailer. This is going to be an insane game. There's going to be a lot to it, and I think that it's really going to take advantage of a lot of new technologies on top of bringing us gameplay that I think we all wanted more of, especially after the recent Ratchet & Clank remake. I'm stoked. I cannot wait for a new Ratchet & Clank game. That's landing sometime in the first half of the year. They still don't have a firm date, but it's before Q2, they say, for 2021. That's obviously a PS5 exclusive. And number 3 is Hitman 3, which, let's just go ahead and say, the current Hitman series has just been like a hit, man. Wah wah. Terrible pun. Truth though, I have really extremely enjoyed Hitman 1 and 2 in this series, which has really gone the extra mile in kind of creating these more narrative-oriented scenarios that still retain much more of the sandbox nature of more early Hitman games. What they've told us about Hitman 3 is that it's actually a little bit more dark and serious, which I actually thought the series itself was kind of a little more dark and serious. It does retain the humor of Hitman, and I expect that that's probably not completely gone either. As far as stealth assassination goes, the current Hitman series has just been absolutely amazing, and rounding out the trilogy is Hitman 3 hitting on PC, PS5, Xbox Series X, PS4, and Xbox One, January 20th. And number 2 is Back 4 Blood, a spiritual successor to Left 4 Dead, brought to us by the developers of Left 4 Dead, Turtle Rock Studios. I'm excited about this because, frankly, after Turtle Rock split from Valve, we've really just needed this thing. Honestly, Turtle Rock's a great developer, but Evolve is just not their forte. It had a lot of problems, and having them back in a co-op zombie shooter is something that, honestly, I don't even think I have to talk a lot about. Left 4 Dead is a fantastic co-op zombie shooter. It's the definer of the genre, and I can't wait for more content from the creators of that. Back 4 Blood is hitting PC, PS5, PS4, Xbox Series X, and Xbox One on June 22nd. And finally, at number 1 is Deathloop. This is probably the game I am most excited for on this list, so I'm stoked it's at number 1. Deathloop is the next game from Arcane Studios, the developers of Dishonored. Really just fantastic devs. And Deathloop looks kind of like Dishonored on steroids in a sort of techno-future setting where there's a time loop, and it looks like it ramps up everything that we know about Dishonored to take advantage of a new generation of hardware, as well as a new aesthetic and world. Really, it looks like something really fresh, while also being a continuation of the power-oriented gameplay we see in Dishonored. As far as I'm concerned, Arcane is really just one of the best devs out there. I absolutely love the Dishonored series, and I cannot wait to play this. They were acquired by Microsoft, but thankfully this was a game that PlayStation owners are going to be able to play. It's landing on PC and PS5 on May 21st. Couple of bonus games for you. First, Werewolf the Apocalypse is a game that puts you as a shape-shifting werewolf eco-terrorist, which maybe sounds a little extreme, but I think is actually kind of fresh. There's 3 styles of gameplay: human, werewolf, and regular wolf, which will apparently lend a lot of variety gameplay-wise, and looks pretty ambitious in what it's trying to do. That's landing on PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X, and Microsoft Windows on February 4th. Finally is It Takes Two, a 2-player co-op platformer that tells the story of a couple of people having to fix their relationship through a trek through a mystical world in which there are tons of platforming challenges. I think that's hilarious, but I also think the gameplay that it brings us into looks pretty fresh and interesting. It Takes Two lands on PC, PS4, and Xbox One on March 26th. That is it for now. Let us know what you think about the first half of this year. We think it looks pretty good. Leave us a comment, let us know. If you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week, and the best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription. So click subscribe. Do not forget to enable all notifications. And as always, we thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter at Falcon the Hero. We'll see you next time right here on Game Ranks.